The biggest reason why you can't lose weight is simply because you're not getting your nutrition right. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to eat for weight loss when you're over 40. But this doesn't mean going on a diet. And in fact, going on a diet is exactly what you shouldn't be doing. And I'm going to explain why in this video. Hello fam, and welcome to my channel. My name's Melissa Neal, and this channel is all about helping you if you're a woman over 40 or like me, over 50, get in fantastic shape. And as I said at the start of the video, it's really important that you get your nutrition right. If you get it wrong, what can happen is that you don't see progress. And you do actually need to be doing things differently with your nutrition than you did in your younger days. And that's because at this age, hormones come into place. So let's get into it. The first thing I'm going to talk about is going on a diet. So if a diet has a name in it, like the keto diet, the juicing diet, there's just loads of diets out there, isn't it? It's actually going to be a really bad idea, because what that is just a short-term fix. What you want to be doing is implementing a lifestyle, a way of eating that you can do for the rest of your life. So going on a diet, that's not going to work, because it's going to work in the short term and it's going to help you with fat loss. But as soon as you come off that diet, what's going to happen is you're going to gain the weight. And usually for most people, they actually gain more weight than when they started on the diet. And that's really frustrating, isn't it? So what do you need to be doing when you're over 40? Well, what you need to be doing is actually tracking all your food, because that means you're going to have much more choice about what you eat. So for example, I kind of include things like ice cream, a few treats that I like in what I eat, and I still manage to lose fat. So the best way of doing that is downloading an app like MyFitnessPal and actually tracking all your calories and your macros. And what are your macros? Well, your macros are your balance of protein, carbohydrates and fats. And loosely speaking, you need to be getting in 1 gram of protein for every pound in your body weight, or if you weigh over 170 pounds, your goal body weight. And you're going to be eating that amount of protein every day. So if you weigh 150 pounds, that's 150 grams of protein every day. And I have a free nutrition guide that actually explains all this. I'm going to link it up here. That's my free nutrition guide that you can download today, that also has a sample meal plan, so you can see what that looks like, what kind of meals you should be eating. Now, the reason you need to get in plenty of protein is because protein is a great fat burner, and protein is going to help build your metabolism, help you build muscle, which you've lost through the aging process. It's going to help you burn fat more easily if you include lots of protein, and it's also going to help keep you satiated, which is really important. Second thing that you are told to do often when you are over 40, and it's completely the wrong thing to do, and you need to kind of do the opposite of this really, and that's cut out your carbs. I'm going to blow that out of the water. I don't believe in cutting out your carbs, and in fact it's going to do you a lot of damage, because what's going to happen is going to damage your metabolism. And what you want to be doing at this stage in life is building your metabolism up. And I don't believe either in cutting out a whole food group. I don't believe it's good for your body in the long term. You need to have carbohydrates to actually get you through the day, particularly if you're like me and you're menopausal and you're really lacking in energy. It's only going to make your energy levels worse if you cut out carbohydrate, or have very small amounts of carbohydrate, which a lot of these diets do. I have women come to me that have actually been on low carb diets. After a while, they stop working because what's happened is it's slowed down your metabolism, and that's exactly what you don't want. You can lose a lot of muscle mass as well by going on low carb diets, and what you want to do is actually build your muscle up because you're already losing muscle through the aging process. And just like those diets that I talked about earlier, it's really hard to stick to in the long term, and once you come off it, you're actually going to gain more weight, and possibly more weight than when you started as well, which it's just going to be really frustrating, isn't it? So what I recommend you do, which is kind of the opposite of that, is you start including carbohydrates. So if you're already on a low carb diet, what you can do is actually gradually start incorporating that. But if you're not, go for the complex carbohydrates. So those are the kind of low GI carbs that are going to give you lots of energy spread through the day. And so they're not going to give you a huge insulin spike. They're going to give you lots of energy spread through the day. Oatmeal, rice, whole grains, potatoes, sweet potatoes, squash, carrots even have carbohydrate in them. So you go for those kind of carbohydrates, and they're going to keep you sustained throughout the day. And yes, do limit your carbohydrates. If you download my free nutrition guide, and I'm going to link it here again, you'll find out how much carbohydrate to eat for you, for your body weight, because everybody's different. I would say for most women, it's going to be around about 100 grams to 200 grams per day of carbohydrate for weight loss. Around about that, could be a little bit more for some people, depending on how heavy you are. So don't skip carbs. I promise you, you can include carbs like I did, and you can actually still get really, really lean. And you won't want to be getting like stage lean like I do as a bikini competitor. I get stage lean eating carbohydrates, so you can definitely do it. The third thing that I'm going to talk about that you are told all the time, and it doesn't necessarily work on its own at this stage in life, and that's, all you need to do is get yourself into a calorie deficit to lose weight. So when we're talking about food, it's actually reducing the amount of food you're eating. But what a calorie deficit means is burning more energy than you're putting in. So what you're putting in is the energy is food, and when you're burning it, that's exercise. And of course, when you're young, just simply doing that, that's going to work. But when you get older, your body is changing, your hormones are coming into play. You might be very far off menopause, but your hormones are still changing in your early 40s. And then after that, you might be going through perimenopause or menopause, or you're in postmenopause, and your body has changed. So simply just being in a calorie deficit will not work for everybody. It might work for some people, it doesn't work for everybody. So what do you need to be doing? Well, there's a few things you need to be doing that are going to actually really look after your hormones and make sure your hormones are in better balance, which is going to stop the inflammation in your body, because certain foods are going to cause inflammation in your body. So the first thing I'm going to recommend you do is you take a digestive enzyme. So you take that with every meal, because what's happening as you get older is you're having problems with your gut health. I'm sure you're probably having problems with your gut health, and I have problems with my gut health, and I never had problems until I got to this stage in life, around about my late 40s. I'm now in my mid 50s. Then it's really good if you can take a probiotic, because again, that's really going to help with your gut health. And then what you've got to do is find out the kinds of foods that you might have an intolerance to or cause your gut to go off. So typically, Those are going to be foods like dairy, gluten, and for some people soy. Now that's not for everyone. That's not saying that you've got to cut out all those foods, because those foods might be perfectly okay for you. But for some people, and you'll know when you eat something and you feel that you're getting a reaction and you just don't digest it well, those are the foods to avoid. So then I'm going to talk about some foods that you should include because they're going to be really healthy for you. And that's non-inflammatory foods. So examples of that are green leafy vegetables, berries, tomatoes if you don't have an intolerance to them, dark chocolate, so 70% dark chocolate, green tea, avocados, olive oil, oily fish. The list goes on, but again, these are in my free nutrition guide, so do download it because it's really going to help you, I promise you. And there are some foods that have got a lot of chemicals in, or they're highly processed, that everyone should avoid when you're at this stage in life. So it's not simply about being in a calorie deficit, it's actually avoiding or cutting down on certain foods. So that's processed foods. So rather than having sausage or bacon, go for a lean piece of pork because that's not processed. There's a lot of plant-based foods, you know, that fake meat they have in the supermarket. That is actually highly processed and it doesn't serve you anymore when you're at this stage in life. High fructose corn syrup, that's a big problem. You know, it does cause disruption to your hormones. Foods with chemicals in, foods with a ton of artificial sweeteners. Try and keep those down to a minimum or cut them out altogether because it's really going to help with your hormone balance. And do let me know in the comments section if there's anything else you would like me to cover in the future when it comes to nutrition and losing weight over 40.